Once upon a time, in a city filled with towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, there lived a bright and curious young girl named Sarah. Unlike most kids her age who spent their days playing video games or watching cartoons, Sarah loved visiting her dad at his workplace. Her father, Mr. Johnson, was a janitor at Innovatech, a famous company known for building amazing robots and inventing groundbreaking technology. Innovatech was a wonderland of blinking lights, whirring machines, and complex gadgets. Sarah loved exploring the hallways, always careful not to touch anything important. She was fascinated by the engineers in their white coats, scribbling on clipboards and huddled around strange contraptions. She soaked up everything she saw, learning about circuits, gears, and the magic of engineering just by being present. Mr. Johnson was a kind and hard-working man, proud of his daughter's inquisitive mind. He often shared stories about the company's inventions and the brilliant minds that created them. He knew Sarah had a knack for understanding how things worked, even if she didn't have formal training. Little did he know, Sarah's observant nature and unique perspective would soon lead to something truly extraordinary, changing Innovatech and her own life forever. Her adventures at Innovatech were just beginning, and the impossible engine was about to become her greatest challenge. Innovatech was more than just a workplace. It was a testament to human ingenuity. Its gleaming towers housed laboratories buzzing with innovation. Robots of all shapes and sizes roamed the halls, assisting the engineers and scientists. The air crackled with the energy of countless experiments and breakthroughs. At the heart of Innovatech was its CEO, Mr. Sterling. He was a brilliant inventor, a visionary who pushed the boundaries of what was possible. But he was also known for his arrogance and his tendency to set impossible challenges for his team. He believed that pressure bred innovation, and he wasn't afraid to push people to their limits. Mr. Sterling had a reputation for being demanding, but he was also respected for his intellect and his unwavering commitment to excellence. He had transformed Innovatech from a small startup into a global leader in robotics and technology. His inventions had changed the world, making him a legend in the field. However, his latest project, the Impossible Engine, was testing even his considerable skills. It seemed that even for a genius like Mr. Sterling, some problems were just too difficult to solve. And, little did he know, the solution was closer than he thought, and would come from the most unexpected source. Project Phoenix, the Impossible Engine, was Mr. Sterling's most ambitious project yet. He envisioned it as a revolutionary power source, capable of generating limitless clean energy. It was designed to be smaller, more efficient, and more powerful than anything else on the market. He believed it would solve the world's energy crisis and cement his legacy as one of the greatest inventors of all time. However, Project Phoenix was proving to be more difficult than anyone had anticipated. The engine was incredibly complex, with thousands of intricate parts working together in perfect harmony. Despite the best efforts of Innovatech's top engineers, the engine refused to function properly. It sputtered, coughed, and occasionally burst into flames, but it never produced the sustained power output that Mr. Sterling desired. The project's failure was costing Innovatech dearly. Resources were being drained, deadlines were being missed, and morale was plummeting. Mr. Sterling grew increasingly frustrated, pushing his team harder and harder, but to no avail. The Impossible Engine seemed determined to remain just that, impossible. The pressure was on, and time was running out. The fate of Innovatech, and perhaps the world, rested on solving the riddle of Project Phoenix. One evening, while Sarah was helping her father clean the lab where Project Phoenix was housed, she noticed something peculiar. All the engineers, with their fancy equipment and complicated formulas, seemed focused on the big picture. They were so caught up in the complex calculations and advanced theories that they had overlooked a simple, almost invisible detail. Near the base of the engine, a tiny sensor was slightly misaligned. It was almost imperceptible, a fraction of a millimeter off, but Sarah's keen eyes spotted it immediately. It was tucked away near a cooling pipe and partially obscured by a cable. She remembered seeing a similar sensor on a small engine her grandfather used to tinker with, and she knew that even a slight misalignment could throw off the entire system. She pointed it out to her dad, who, though not an engineer, trusted his daughter's intuition. He carefully examined the sensor and realized that Sarah might be onto something. He hesitated, unsure whether to mention it to the engineers, fearing they would dismiss it as insignificant. But Sarah's unwavering confidence convinced him that it was worth a try. The little detail that she noticed could be the key to solving the puzzle of the impossible engine. The next day, Mr. Johnson nervously approached one of the lead engineers, Dr. Anya Sharma, and explained what Sarah had noticed. Dr. Sharma, initially dismissive, listened politely but remained skeptical. She had spent months studying the engine, and the idea that a janitor's daughter could spot something she had missed seemed absurd. Just then, Mr. Sterling happened to walk by. Hearing the conversation, he scoffed. A misaligned sensor? Preposterous. We've run countless diagnostics. Every component has been scrutinized. He turned his gaze to Sarah, who was standing quietly beside her father. A mischievous glint sparked in his eyes. So, you think you can fix Project Phoenix, young lady? He challenged, a hint of mockery in his voice. If you're so confident, I dare you. Fix the engine. Show us all how it's done. The surrounding engineers gasped. It was unheard of. Mr. Sterling was publicly daring a child, a janitor's daughter, to solve a problem that had stumped his entire team. It was a moment of pure arrogance, fueled by desperation and a touch of cruel amusement. He expected her to back down, proving his point. But Sarah, surprisingly, didn't flinch. She looked Mr. Sterling straight in the eye and said, I accept your challenge. A wave of murmurs swept through the lab. The engineers exchanged bewildered glances. Some chuckled nervously, while others shook their heads in disbelief. Dr. Sharma, though initially skeptical, felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this unconventional approach, this outside perspective, was exactly what Project Phoenix needed. Sarah's acceptance of the challenge wasn't born out of arrogance, but from a genuine desire to help. She had spent countless hours observing the engine, absorbing every detail, and she truly believed that the misaligned sensor was the key. She knew it wouldn't be easy. She would face skepticism, pressure, and the daunting complexity of the engine. But she was determined to prove herself, not just to Mr. Sterling, but to herself as well. Mr. Sterling, taken aback by Sarah's unexpected response, tried to hide his surprise. He had expected her to cower, to admit she was out of her depth. But her unwavering gaze and confident tone had thrown him off balance. He couldn't back down now. He had made a public challenge. He cleared his throat and said, Very well, Miss Johnson. Let's see what you can do. A designated workspace was prepared for her, right beside the engine. The impossible task now rested on the shoulders of a young girl with a keen eye and a determined spirit. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Sarah, with her father's quiet encouragement, immersed herself in the engine. While the engineers used sophisticated diagnostic tools and complex algorithms, Sarah approached the problem with a more intuitive and hands-on approach. She used simple tools, a wrench, a screwdriver, and a magnifying glass, tools she had learned to use from her grandfather, a retired mechanic. A montage began. Sarah carefully adjusting the sensor, meticulously cleaning each connection, and patiently tracing the wiring. Juxtapose this with scenes of the Innovatech engineers running simulations, analyzing data streams, and debating complex theories, all seemingly without making any progress. They would glance over at Sarah, a mixture of curiosity and skepticism in their eyes. Some offered condescending advice, while others simply ignored her, convinced that her efforts were futile. Sarah didn't let their doubts deter her. She focused on the task at hand, trusting her instincts and relying on her understanding of basic mechanical principles. She spent hours studying the engine's schematics, identifying potential problem areas, and experimenting with different solutions. She was determined to prove that even the most complex problems could be solved with a combination of knowledge, intuition, and a little bit of elbow grease. Her unique approach, so different from the established methods, was slowly but surely starting to yield results. Days bled into nights as Sarah worked tirelessly on Project Phoenix. The initial amusement and skepticism of the Innovatech employees slowly faded, replaced by a growing sense of anticipation. They started to notice subtle changes in the engine's behavior, a smoother hum, a more consistent temperature, a faint but promising spark of power. Mr. Sterling, though still outwardly dismissive, couldn't help but be intrigued by Sarah's persistence. He would often observe her from a distance, his expression unreadable. He saw her dedication, her unwavering focus, and the genuine passion she had for solving the problem. He started to wonder if he had underestimated her, if perhaps her unconventional approach held the key to unlocking the engine's potential. The pressure mounted as the deadline loomed closer. The financial strain on Innovatech was becoming increasingly severe, and Mr. Sterling knew that if Project Phoenix failed, the company's future would be in jeopardy. He tried to remain confident, but deep down he was starting to feel a sense of desperation. He needed a breakthrough, and Sarah was his last hope. He just hoped that this gamble, this dare, wouldn't be the downfall of everything he had worked so hard to build. The fate of Innovatech rested on Sarah's small shoulders. Late one night, as Sarah was reviewing the engine's performance logs, she noticed a recurring anomaly. A specific alloy used in the combustion chamber was consistently overheating, causing a timing discrepancy in the engine's firing sequence. The engineers had assumed the alloy would perform as expected under high temperatures, based on standard industry data. But Sarah realized that the unique conditions within Project Phoenix's engine were causing the alloy to behave differently. She remembered a conversation with her grandfather, the retired blacksmith, about the subtle variations in metal properties based on specific forging techniques and environmental factors. He had explained how even slight impurities or inconsistencies in the manufacturing process could affect an alloy's performance under extreme conditions. This sparked an idea. Sarah hypothesized that the engine's timing sequence was based on a flawed assumption about the alloy's reaction to heat. The misaligned sensor had exacerbated the problem, but the underlying cause was the inaccurate data regarding the alloy. She realized that a simple adjustment to the timing sequence, combined with a minor part replacement using a slightly different batch of the same alloy, could potentially solve the problem. She was excited. She was close, and she couldn't wait to share her discovery. The solution was within her grasp. The next morning, Sarah nervously presented her findings to Mr. Sterling and the Innovatech team. She explained her observations about the alloy, her grandfather's insights, and her proposed solution. A minor adjustment to the timing sequence and a replacement of a small component with a part made from a slightly different batch of the same alloy. Dr. Sharma, initially skeptical, listened intently, her brow furrowed in concentration. She ran some quick simulations based on Sarah's hypothesis and was surprised to see that the results aligned with the anomalies they had been observing. Even Mr. Sterling seemed impressed, though he tried not to show it. So, you're saying that after months of research and experimentation, the solution was a simple timing adjustment and a slightly different part? Mr. Sterling asked, a hint of disbelief in his voice. Sarah nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. It's not just about the parts, Mr. Sterling, she said. It's about understanding how things work, about looking at the problem from a different perspective. Sometimes the answer is right in front of you, but you need to know where to look. Her confidence surprised even herself. Now it was up to Mr. Sterling to decide whether to trust her judgment and authorize the changes. The fate of Project Phoenix hung in the balance. Mr. Sterling paced back and forth, his mind racing. He was torn between his ingrained skepticism and the mounting evidence supporting Sarah's theory. He glanced at Dr. Sharma, who gave him a subtle nod of encouragement. He knew that time was running out, and he had to make a decision. He stopped pacing and looked directly at Sarah. "All right, Miss Johnson," he said, his voice firm but tinged with a hint of resignation. "We'll do it your way." He authorized the changes, instructing the engineers to implement Sarah's proposed adjustments and replace the specified part. Secretly, he still doubted her. He believed that the solution to Project Phoenix was far more complex than a simple timing adjustment and a slightly different part. He was convinced that her efforts would ultimately fail, but he had no other options. He was hoping that, by letting her try, he could finally put this matter to rest and move on to other projects. But deep down, a tiny part of him hoped that she would succeed, that this young girl would somehow pull off the impossible. He tried to suppress that feeling, reminding himself that he was the expert, the visionary, the one who knew best. But Sarah's unwavering confidence was starting to chip away at his carefully constructed wall of arrogance. The day arrived for the final test. The entire Innovatech team gathered in the lab, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Mr. Sterling stood at the back, his arms crossed, his expression carefully neutral. Sarah stood beside her father, her hand trembling slightly, but her eyes filled with determination. The engineers initiated the engine's startup sequence. A low hum filled the room, gradually increasing in intensity. The engine sputtered, coughed, and then fell silent. A collective groan rippled through the crowd. Mr. Sterling smirked inwardly, his skepticism seemingly confirmed. But then, a faint spark ignited within the engine's core. The hum grew louder, steadier, more powerful. The lights flickered as the engine began to draw more and more power. A wave of heat radiated from the machine, washing over the onlookers. The sputtering stopped, replaced by a smooth, consistent roar. Project Phoenix was alive. It was working, and it was exceeding all expectations. The impossible had become reality. The silence broke into cheers and applause. The Innovatech team erupted in celebration, their relief palpable. All eyes turned to Sarah, the young girl who had dared to challenge the impossible and had emerged victorious. The cheers subsided, and the engineers began to analyze the engine's performance data. The results were astounding. Project Phoenix was not only functional, but it was also operating at a level of efficiency that exceeded even Mr. Sterling's initial projections. It was a game changer, a revolutionary breakthrough that would transform the energy industry. Mr. Sterling, his face a mask of disbelief, slowly approached Sarah. His arrogance had completely dissolved, replaced by a genuine sense of awe and respect. He extended his hand to her and said, "Miss Johnson, I owe you an apology. I underestimated you. You have accomplished something truly remarkable." Sarah shook his hand, a warm smile spreading across her face. "Thank you, Mr. Sterling," she said. "But it wasn't just me. It was a team effort. Everyone here contributed to this success." But there was one more piece of the puzzle to reveal, one more surprise that would truly shock everyone. Sarah turned to the crowd and said, "I learned about the alloy's properties from my grandfather. He's a retired blacksmith, and he taught me the importance of understanding the materials you work with. He always said that even the smallest details can make a big difference." The revelation about Sarah's grandfather sparked a new wave of realization throughout Innovatech. It was a powerful reminder that knowledge and expertise could be found in the most unexpected places, and that everyone, regardless of their background or profession, had something valuable to contribute. Mr. Sterling, humbled by the experience, addressed the entire company. "Today, we have learned a valuable lesson," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "We have been so focused on our advanced technology and complex theories that we have overlooked the simple wisdom and practical knowledge that surrounds us. We must never forget the importance of listening to everyone, of valuing diverse perspectives, and of recognizing that brilliance can come from anywhere." He then turned to Sarah and said, "Miss Johnson, I would be honored if you would accept an internship here at Innovatech. Your insights and your unique way of thinking are invaluable, and I believe you have a bright future in engineering." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise and delight. She eagerly accepted his offer, knowing that this was the opportunity of a lifetime. Mr. Sterling pledged to foster a more inclusive and collaborative environment at Innovatech, where everyone's voice would be heard and every idea would be considered. He understood that true innovation came from embracing diversity and valuing the contributions of all. In the weeks that followed, Sarah thrived in her new role at Innovatech. She brought a fresh perspective to every project she worked on, challenging assumptions and encouraging her colleagues to think outside the box. She quickly became a valuable member of the team, earning the respect and admiration of everyone she worked with. Inspired by Sarah's success, other overlooked employees at Innovatech began to share their ideas and insights. Janitors, cafeteria workers, and security guards all contributed valuable suggestions that led to further innovations and improvements within the company. Mr. Sterling made sure that everyone received proper recognition for their contributions, fostering a sense of ownership and pride throughout the organization. Innovatech transformed from a hierarchical, top-down company into a collaborative, inclusive community where everyone felt valued and empowered. The company's innovation rate soared, and Project Phoenix became a symbol of the power of diversity and the importance of listening to all voices. Mr. Sterling, once known for his arrogance and impossible challenges, became a champion of inclusivity and a mentor to young talent like Sarah. He learned that true leadership wasn't about dictating from the top, but about empowering others to reach their full potential. One day, Mr. Sterling approached Sarah with a new challenge, a seemingly unsolvable problem with a robotic arm designed for delicate surgical procedures. The engineers had been struggling with it for weeks, unable to achieve the required precision and stability. Sarah, remembering her grandfather's lessons about the importance of balance and leverage, suggested a simple adjustment to the arm's counterweight system. The engineers, initially skeptical, tried her suggestion, and to their amazement, it worked perfectly. The robotic arm achieved unprecedented precision and stability, opening up new possibilities for minimally invasive surgery. Mr. Sterling was once again impressed by Sarah's ingenuity and her ability to apply simple, practical knowledge to complex technical problems. He realized that her unique perspective was a valuable asset to Innovatech, and he made sure to provide her with every opportunity to learn and grow. Sarah continued to excel at Innovatech, tackling new challenges with enthusiasm and creativity. She never forgot the lessons she learned from her grandfather, and she always remembered the importance of looking beyond the obvious and valuing the knowledge and experiences of others. She became a role model for young aspiring engineers, proving that brilliance can come from anywhere, regardless of age, background, or formal training. Her journey was an inspiration to all. News of Sarah's remarkable achievements spread far and wide, attracting attention from universities, research institutions, and other technology companies. She received numerous scholarship offers and job opportunities, but she remained loyal to Innovatech, grateful for the chance that Mr. Sterling had given her. Mr. Sterling, recognizing her potential, continued to mentor her, providing her with challenging projects and opportunities to showcase her skills. He also made sure that she received the formal education and training she needed to excel in her career. He encouraged her to pursue a degree in engineering, offering her a flexible work schedule and financial support to help her achieve her academic goals. He knew that Sarah was a rising star, and he was determined to help her reach her full potential. He saw in her the qualities of a true innovator: curiosity, creativity, perseverance, and a genuine desire to make a difference in the world. He believed that she would one day become a leader in the field of engineering, and he was proud to play a role in her journey. He knew that by investing in her, he was not only benefiting Innovatech, but also contributing to a brighter future for everyone. He also made sure to personally thank Mr. Johnson for having such an exceptional daughter. Years passed, and Sarah's impact on Innovatech continued to grow. She not only contributed her own innovative ideas, but she also became a champion for other overlooked voices within the company. She established a mentorship program that paired experienced engineers with employees from diverse backgrounds, fostering a culture of collaboration and knowledge sharing. She organized regular brainstorming sessions where everyone, regardless of their position, was encouraged to share their thoughts and suggestions. She created a suggestion box system that allowed employees to anonymously submit ideas, ensuring that even the quietest voices were heard. She implemented a reward program that recognized and celebrated the contributions of all employees, fostering a sense of ownership and pride throughout the organization. Thanks to Sarah's efforts, Innovatech became a breeding ground for innovation, attracting top talent from around the world. The company's products became more innovative, more efficient, and more user-friendly, thanks to the diverse perspectives and collaborative spirit of its employees. Project Phoenix, once an impossible dream, became a reality, powering communities with clean, sustainable energy. And it all started with a curious young girl, a misaligned sensor, and a CEO who dared to listen. The end. Sarah, now a brilliant engineer, continued her work at Innovatech, never forgetting her humble beginnings. She often visited her father during her breaks, sharing stories of her latest projects and seeking his advice on technical challenges. She also made it a point to mentor young students from underprivileged backgrounds, encouraging them to pursue their dreams in STEM fields. Mr. Sterling, a changed man, remained a close friend and mentor to Sarah, always reminding her of the valuable lesson they had both learned: that brilliance can come from anywhere, and that true innovation requires a willingness to look beyond the obvious and value the potential of every individual. And so, Innovatech continued to thrive, driven by a culture of collaboration, inclusivity, and a relentless pursuit of innovation. Project Phoenix powered communities around the world, providing clean, sustainable energy for generations to come. And Sarah's legacy lived on, inspiring countless others to challenge assumptions, embrace diversity, and dare to dream the impossible. The story of Sarah, the janitor's daughter who fixed the impossible engine, became a legend, a testament to the power of human potential and the importance of looking beyond the surface. It was a reminder that sometimes the greatest discoveries are found not in the most sophisticated labs, but in the most unexpected places, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to look.